What is up, my fellow gamers? In today's video, we got our tier list for squad busters, like and stuff, for more amazing gaming content. So really important to address before we jump into this is, as always, tier lists are opinionated. And the way this game works is it's really hard to necessarily do like a super accurate tier list because there's so many different factors that play into making characters good choices to pick and not good choices. Specifically, if you're a new player, certain characters that I mention that I say are bad, for me, they actually might be good for you when you're first starting out. But then once you do get to later worlds, those characters at the beginning world that were pretty good, they drop off and they're not as good. So the performance of these characters really varies on the battle mods. It also varies on the world you're in. I'm gonna try and like explain everything why I'm putting characters in certain positions to just kind of make it a little bit like more understanding of why I'm making my choices. We're also only going to be ranking the first 3 worlds. I have not made it to the 4th world yet, so I don't have access to those characters. So just the first 3 for now, and then we'll do maybe an updated tier list. First one we got is in the green world. We're going with the Barbarian right here. So the Barbarian, he's an all-rounder. He's a little bit tanky and he does a little bit of damage. I don't think he's that great. As a new player, he's gonna be like good for you. Once you start unlocking other characters, he really falls off, and he's not someone that you're like really wanting to choose all the time. He's not that great for farming coins up. He's okay for PvP. For my instance, I'm putting him in the B because I think he's like okay. He's not like the worst, but there's definitely a lot better characters that I personally choose over the Barbarian. But like if I need like a frontliner, like a half-assed tank, then I would choose him. Next one we got is the Goblin. Now the Goblin is an interesting one because as a new player, the Goblin is pretty much going to be like one of your main sources of income at the beginning to really generate coins and stuff like that until you unlock Greg. And then Greg is going to be like your best bet. But Goblin, there's a lot of real cool tricks that you can use with the Goblin depending on the battle mods. When you have the Doppelganger battle mod, you can go ahead and you can really abuse the Goblin by going ahead and constantly switching from a different character and then switching to the Goblin. And then all of your characters become a Goblin and you just get tons and tons of coins. So I think the Goblin is like a really good character, but he's very niche and he's only good in certain situations. So for that instance, I'm putting him also in the B. Next one we got is going to be Greg. Now Greg, I think, is hands down one of the best income producing characters in this game, really close to Mavis. I know it's probably another controversial topic of who's better, Greg or Mavis, but I think Greg is very, very amazing. I'm putting him in the A, specifically once you do kind of upgrade him. The trees that you chop with Greg will start to drop more resources once you do get him to 3 stars, and that really, really makes him even more valuable. But honestly, I'm always choosing Greg as my starting character unless there's like a specific battle mod giving me a better start with one of the other characters. Otherwise, Greg is amazing for building up your squad fast. PvP wise though, he's not that good, so like that's the only downside to it. But I think the fact that he's able to generate you coins and gems from chopping the trees down easily makes him an A rank for me. Next one we got is Colt. Colt is just overall a really strong character. If you don't have an income producing character at the beginning like Greg or Mavis, you can still choose Colt and you can get away with Colt helping you build up a squad fast. When you have the Pinata battle mod, he can destroy the Pinatas pretty well to give you extra coins and gems. He's just kind of like an overall like strong character that gives you good damage for PvE content and building up your squad, as well as PvP content when you're going up against other squads. So I think Colt easily an A. Whether he's better than Greg is kind of debatable because Greg can help you build up your squad faster. So again, it's really hard to really compare if one is better than the other in the A tier. Next one we got is going to be El Primo, hands down, arguably one of the best tanks. You honestly should not be going into any PvP battle against another squad unless you have a tank. preferably El Primo because he's super tanky. He does his flying elbow, which goes ahead and does like a little stun to the enemy squad. So overall, another amazing character. I'm also putting him in the A. He's another one that I'm constantly looking out for because when I have El Primo on my squad, I feel a lot more comforting that I'm not going to get jumped by another team. I know he'll protect my backline and like my big damage dealers if I have El Primo on my team, but if I don't have him, then I kind of feel a little bit worried. So I'm always picking him as one of my top characters as well. Next one we got is going to be our first epic, and that is going to be the Witch. Hands down, I think the Witch is absolutely amazing. The downside to the Witch is she's very squishy, but she constantly is going ahead and summoning those skeletons. And the skeletons are amazing because they not only go around and start attacking other PvE enemies, so you can kind of generate more coins, but they're also really annoying for PvP battles, and also the Witch does a ton of damage. Now the Chicken is another one that's kind of like the Goblin in a sense where it's really good, but only in certain situations. The Chicken isn't a character that you always are looking for. It's a kind of a character that you're looking for in like, let's say an enemy is jumping you and you're trying to get away. You don't have enough boots. You quick pick the Chicken from a chest and then you can, you know, haul ass and get out of there. So you kind of use the Chicken to escape enemies really that are trying to attack you. Also, the Chicken gives you a little bit of boots. So you get a little bit of like that speed boost, but you can also use the boots as increasing your attack speed as well if you hold it down while attacking. Another character that I'm going to put in the B, very niche, really good for certain situations, otherwise not that great. Another one that's amazing for Doppelganger. Go ahead and switch between Chicken and Goblin and you'll have tons of coins and you'll have tons of boots saved up. You'll be running around the map and increasing your attack speed like crazy. Next one we got is Medic. Now, I personally do not think healing characters in this game are that great, and it's because of like a few different reasons. The first reason is there's a lot of ways for us to heal our characters just in the game itself. Like it doesn't feel like healers are needed because the little hearts drop all the time. Like you can find a heart to heal up your team anywhere on the map. You know, they constantly are all over the place. You also heal your team when you create a fusion, and there's also other characters that not only do other things, but they also have special effects that heal as well, like Mavis. Once you get a 3-star Mavis, every time she picks a carrot, she slightly heals your team. You know what I mean? You're getting so much more value from Mavis. You know, you're generating coins, you're healing, as opposed to someone like the other healers where all they do is like heal your team a little bit. And there's just other characters that also heal, and they, you know, you understand what I mean? But I think the Medic, out of all the healers, I think the Medic is probably the better one. So I'm gonna put the Medic at like the A. Medic's like an A- B+ for me. Next one we got is gonna be Dynamite. Now this is another one that's kind of a little bit niche. It's tough for me to put him in the A. Dynamite isn't good for farming up coins. He's really not good for PvE content, but Dynamite is insanely strong for PvP battles, specifically late game. And that's because of his blast radius. When he throws the Dynamite, he does big AoE damage. And when you're going up against another live squad, they typically have, you know, a big squad at that point late in the game when you're down to like your last minute. He's dealing damage to everyone in their squad because his blast radius is so big. So he becomes an absolute monster late game, but early game to mid game, he's just not that good. So he's another one that's kind of tough to rank. I'm going to put him in the B. I think he is definitely kind of like better than Goblin and Chicken when it comes to like battles. Next one we got is going to be the Hog Rider. Hog Rider is amazing. You definitely want to pick him as early on as possible because he goes ahead and he gives you a speed boost when you run through the bushes. And that speed boost not only makes you move faster, but it's also increasing your attack speed, which I think a lot of people don't realize is that speed boost that you get from boots, it goes hand in hand with also increasing your attack speed if you're using it while you're attacking. So what I'll do is I'll have the Hog Rider kind of just stay in the bushes and let the enemies come to me. That way I'm increasing my entire squad's attack speed as well. Because you're getting two really amazing benefits that are probably the most important in this game, and that's going to be speed and then attack speed. So another one that I'm gonna go ahead, I'm putting him in the A. Next one we got is the Barbarian King. He's super tanky. He does decent amount of damage. Easily an S tier. It's another character that you really want to choose early on as often as possible. And then finishing it up with the green world, we finally have the Archer Queen. The Archer Queen is another one that's absolutely amazing. She is a ranged damage dealer, but she also boosts the attack speed of your other ranged damage dealers. So really just an amazing overall character that you definitely want to choose early game, mid game, end game. You really can't go wrong with the Archer Queen. Next up, moving on to the characters in the desert world. First one we got is Shelly. Now Shelly's a little bit of another one that's kind of a niche. I like her blast radius, right? Like her little shotgun, it spreads a lot of bullets. It can hit multiple enemies if they're kind of grouped up and stuff. But what's really good about her is when you have it activated, like her special ability, and it pushes the enemies away. That is amazing for trying to get away from another squad that's like chasing you and trying to destroy you if like you're outnumbered in a PvP battle. It becomes very handy to have her in your squad, but it's really only for that instance. A lot of the times when I've chosen her, she just doesn't do enough damage. So for that instance, I'm going ahead and I'm putting her in the B. Next one we got is gonna be Nita. Now Nita is absolutely amazing. It's debatable if she is a better tank than El Primo because you get to summon the bear and the bear is super tanky. Also, when you go ahead and you start upgrading her, she can re-summon the bear becomes enraged. So there's a lot of really cool things that you get with Nita. She's another one where I'm always looking for like Nita or El Primo to at least have one of them on my team to protect my damage dealers. I'm putting her in the A as well, right next to El Primo. Next one we got is gonna be the Battle Healer. Now I think the Battle Healer isn't that great, and this is actually gonna be my first C. Like I mentioned earlier, I think healers in this game aren't that great because there's just so many other ways for us to heal our characters. Next one we got is gonna be Max. Max speed kills, and let me tell you, speed is so important in this game. Max, easily another A character. Hand in hand with Hog Rider, the only difference is the Hog Rider only gets that speed boost when you're moving from bushes and out of bushes for a little bit. But Max gives you that speed boost, and once you level up Max 2-3 stars, you also get the bonus where as you go ahead and destroy enemies, it keeps that speed boost going, so you can run around the map extremely fast. So I think Max is definitely better than Hog Rider. However, you have to be more skilled to use Max. Next one we got is going to be Bo. Bo I think is absolutely amazing. The only thing that's holding Bo down is the fact that he's not that great for PvP. Otherwise, he would be like almost in an S for me. I think he's easily an A+. I'm constantly choosing Bo. He's really good for a lot of different battle mods. He's really good to choose at the beginning because he does more damage to the PvE enemies. So he's another one that isn't necessarily a supplier, right? But he can actually help you build a squad up very fast because he destroys those enemies very, very quickly. The final one we got in the desert world is gonna be B. B is one that I think isn't that great. I think she's another one that's like a little bit niche. Although the problem with B is there isn't like specific battle mods where I'm like, oh, I want to choose B because I get some type of advantage. She's just kind of like a little bit of a damage dealer, and then you get the bees that kind of surround you if you pick them up on the map. So it doesn't really feel like you're getting a lot of value. She's kind of a character that I typically chose as kind of like a last resort. If I didn't have like anyone else and I just like needed a damage dealer, then I would choose her. So for that instance, I'm putting her in the B, which is funny, right? I'm putting B in the B category because I think she's just not one that you're like really looking for, but like if you need a damage dealer and you see her pop up, you'll be like, all right, I'll choose her. Moving on to the royal world, we got Mavis, and Mavis I think is amazing. She does it all. She goes ahead and she gets you coins from picking the carrots. When you get her to 3 stars, she goes ahead and she heals your team when she picks the carrots. You get the bonus coins when you go ahead and fully pick a carrot patch. She really helps you generate a lot of coins early on. The only downside to it is the fact that when Greg chops down trees, the trees also drop gems, and you don't get any gems from picking carrots. So there's like a little bit of a trade-off with that instance, but I think Mavis is easily an A. She's right up there with Greg. And I also think Mavis is slightly better for PvP because she does ranged attacks. Next one we got is Royal King. Royal King is easily, I would say, an S. The ability to summon royal recruits every time you open up a chest, I think is really strong. It's kind of basically like the witch, except, you know, you only get the summon when you open up chests. Anytime you have a summoner character in this game, they're really strong. Just being able to put more allies out on the battlefield really helps you out with PvE content and PvP content. So Royal King, easily an S, someone you always want to choose. Next one we got is Mortis. Mortis is another one that's ridiculously strong. As he goes ahead and destroys monsters, PvE monsters, he goes ahead and basically reanimates them and puts them on your team as kind of like these little minions. So again, he's like basically another summoner. Next one we got is going to be the Wizard. Now Wizard I think is absolutely insanely amazing, and there's a lot of battle mods that you can really abuse the Wizard in. Easily I'm putting the Wizard in the A. The only downside to the Wizard I would say is that he does AoE damage with the fireball. Like it hits a bunch of enemies like in a small circle. So initially, like, it's not a lot of damage, but it's a decent amount, but you get a lot of spells, right? Like you get a spell every time you go ahead and you get a Wizard. The Wizard lets you hold 2 spells. Spells in this game are absolutely devastating. You can go into a PvP battle and the enemy can think you're outnumbered and they're going to absolutely destroy you. You got the Wizard on your team and you pop 2 spells. You pop a rage spell to increase your damage and a healing spell, or you throw a bomb at them. I mean, it's so devastating and it completely changes the tide of the battle. So having the Wizard on your team upgraded with the ability to hold 2 spells, super duper broken, amazingly strong. Next one we got is going to be the Trader. The Trader I think is god awful. I think he's one of the worst income producers in this game. I'm easily putting him in the C. I've tried to utilize him a little bit, but it's really just not a good trade-off. Going ahead and getting a gem every time you collect 15 coins, it doesn't make sense to me, because there's so many ways for you to get gems in this game. Like, you get gems from chopping trees down, you get gems from destroying enemies, from boss monsters. You got the gem mine in the middle. Getting 1 gem is hardly going to like help you, you know, rank in the top 5 or the top 3 when it comes to who has the most gems at the end of the match. When you upgrade him, he heals your team slightly when he goes ahead and he gives you a gem. So, you know, he has that healing built in while doing 2 things, giving you gems and healing, but he doesn't give you enough gems to really like make it worth it. He's just really a liability, and I never want to ever pick him. Final one we got for the Royal World is going to be Pam. Another one that again, it's a healer, and I just feel like there's not really that, like, the healers aren't needed because there's so many other ways to heal your team. Pam is a little bit of an interesting one because she does put down the healing station. It does become like a body on the battlefield, because then your enemy will draw attention to it and they'll start attacking it. So in an instance, like, it could help you get away. It could like soak up a little bit of damage if you get into a battle. But overall, again, it's just like, it's not needed. Rather have one of the characters in the A list over Pam. I'd rather have Hog Rider over her, Wizard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many better options. Once I go ahead and I reach the beach world and I have some experience with some of those characters, I will then go ahead and make an updated tier list. There's only 3 in the beach world. There's the Heavy, Penny, and Tank, but I have not experienced them, so I don't want to like give my opinion on them yet. Stay happy, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.